Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, I'm excited that you're here. Now, I hope as you listen to the show that you absolutely feel my passion, that I get it. Change, crazy. It gives us the knot in our stomach. We get scared. Change is coming. Oh my God, what do I do? Well, I hope between my guests and I, we provide some tips, strategies, ideas that you can listen to the show, apply in your life, in your business and career, and bam, watch the magic that happens. So listen, take notes. And again, I hope that our tips and strategies help you move the needle on whatever change you're going through and make it a little bit easier for you. To help you on your journey of change, of course, I have a free gift for you. If you go down in the show notes, I have my free communication style assessment. 2 reports. 1, it spotlights your superpowers. And what that means from a communication perspective is, how are people perceiving you as you communicate with other humans? Flip side, you get a report on your lowest score or your lowest style. That could be a blind spot, and it'll shed some light on that for you so you can navigate and communicate with a lot more ease and grace in your life. Now, my motivational quote to get our brains in the right frame of reference for today's topic is by B.K.S. Iyengar. I think I'm saying that right. But B.K.S. said, change leads to disappointment if it is not sustained. Transformation is sustained change, and it is achieved through patience. Now, I really love this quote because it allowed me the opportunity to reflect on my own personal career and look at the personal evolution of becoming more emotionally intelligent and the impact it's had on my life and my career. I've come to realize that this was a skill that I had to learn and develop over time and was not necessarily natural for me. So patience, when God was handing them out, I got out of line. I said, I don't need any patience, right? So what's the big lesson I've learned? Well, I'm glad you asked, because today, Queen Kimmie and Shawn7, my 2 favorite peeps on this earth, we are going to talk about, well, let me take a step back. So today, my guests are Shawn7 and Queen Kimmie, and they are Motivational Messages, Music and Mentorship with Shawn7, AKA Geda Lion Hip Hop. Did I say that right, Shawn?
Geda Lion.
Geda, I knew I probably said that wrong. Geda Lion, hip hop artist and videographer, and Queen Kimmie is a motivational speaker and director of marketing. This powerhouse couple has over 40 years combined total experience at confidently rocking the stage and getting paid well for it. Now they have come together to share their knowledge, tips, tools, and resources on the Boss Effect podcast. Please help me welcome 2 of my favorite people in the world, Queen Kimmie and Shawn7. You guys, thanks for being on.
Thanks. Thank you, Connie, for having us here. Yes,
I love it. And I was on their podcast, so you have to go listen to the Boss Effect so you can hear me too, because I was brilliant, right, guys?
Yes, you were.
Yes, you were amazing. You definitely came over and changed the game.
Wow, that was self-promotion. What do you think, right? All right. So first question for you guys. I love that you're partners, right, in life, but partners in business too. So I think that's so cool. Why did you guys choose to start a digital online business / podcast?
Great question. Well, first, the music. I'm a hip hop artist, so the music game was changing and it was going digital. And Queen Kimmie was in school for business and marketing, and she needed to make up a business, a fictitious business.
Yes.
So she was going to school to rewind back. She was going to school to actually help me market my music career.
I love it.
So when she made this fictitious business in school, she made a fictitious business for herself called Queen Kimmie 101. And it was like a digital business, online business. Well, she didn't know that business was actually going to start taking off for her. And it was like I said, it was a fictitious business, but it actually started taking off for her. So she started learning more about digital marketing, and she really started becoming a guru in digital marketing.
I kind of like fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it. I became obsessed with it because one of the assignment was create social media posts and go live. And I was like, what? Are you crazy?
No kidding.
With that. And I did it and I loved it. And so I did it for 30 days for my birthday. I said, I'm going to go live for 30 days for my birthday. And I'm just going to give tips, tools, and just talk to people for 30 days and just go live. And from there, it like got out of hand crazy, so much so I had men in my inbox like, hey, beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, no. I was like, baby, you have to come on here and go live with me. I can't do this by myself. I'm scared. And he was like,
true story, Connie. True story.
She needed her man to protect her. I love it. I love it.
Connie, if you go back to our past videos when we started off going live, you will see that I was just sitting there I'm like the protector. Like Queen Kimmie would do most of the talking, and I'm just sitting there because she brought me on at first just to be there, just so the men would kind of like go away.
That's hilarious. Silent Studley, Silent and Studley. That was your role, right?
Yes.
That is great. So you know what's interesting, because Queen Kimmie, you have a military background, right? Do I remember that correctly?
Both of us do.
You both do. Okay. So how funny because right, you retire from the military and you're still so young. Like, what do we do now? So going back to school for the marketing to help your husband and then having the business, like this is life. This is the fascinating part of life and the universe, delivering where you need it to be, right?
yes, yes. And when you think about it, like everything in life works like that. You're never aware of, I'm learning this skill, but it's actually setting me up for success in this area. I never would have thought in a million years that I would become completely obsessed and consumed with digital online success. Like that is, like, I don't even want to talk to people if they're not talking about how they're showing up online or how they're serving online or how they're helping others to show up online. Like, I literally think that you're going to be left in the dark ages. And I often think about, when people started riding in cars, the people on the sideline said, oh, they're riding in cars. And they kept going in their horse and their carriage and they were going. And now today, everybody drives in cars.
Yeah. You have multiple cars in a household.
Yes.
Right.
When microwaves first came out, everybody, oh, don't get one of those things. They're going to have radiation. Don't get a microwave. And now almost every household has a microwave. So it's like when you're thinking about change and evolution and growth, you have to be not afraid to take that risk. Because when I walked into school to learn the business side of music for my husband, I wanted to learn marketing. And the lady looked at me. I'll never forget it. The dean looked at me and she said, oh, you don't have to do business and then come back for marketing. We're going to be starting a social media aspect of business and you can sign up for both. And I was like, are you serious? And so when I signed up, I remember someone, I'm not going to call a name, and they said to me, girl, what you going to school to learn social media for? Who's going to be on social media?
Right. And that's how we consume our content. And it's interesting because the podcasting world, I recently said to someone, and I think you guys know this about me, the show I've been hosting for 11 years. So I said that recently to someone and they go, what? Like they paused and they said, what? And they said, did anybody even know what a podcast was back then? And I said, there weren't a lot of us, but I was one of the dinosaurs. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
You have the foresight. I was invited to host a podcast. So I was lucky, right? Because I got an email from a guy at Web Talk Radio who I'm still with. But the coolest thing is I didn't know what a podcast was. And now I can't imagine not podcasting. A couple of reasons. And I'd like you guys to weigh in on this too, because you're amazing podcasters as well. Podcasting, I get to meet freaking amazing people from around the world that I would never have met. I routinely will interview authors and I try to read the books beforehand. I wouldn't have read, 50, 100 books that I've read because of guests that I've had on the show for my own education and growth. And the last is that we get to really show who we are, because it's very hard to be inauthentic and a put on, if you will, like a fake on a podcast, because, have 2 shows. So I record 2 shows a week, 8 a month. Very hard to be a put on or a fake. So people really get to know the goofball that I am, as well as the serious business side of me, right? But that's me. You get all of me through that podcast, so that we know in marketing, right? It's that know, like, trust factor. What benefits do you think podcasting has done for you and now your business, right? This is kind of like your lead, the podcasting.
First, let me start off. We actually had a podcasting journey. We started off podcasting in 2016, 16. And we didn't know what the hell we was doing, Connie.
Yeah. That was a long time ago too. Yeah.
We did not know what we was doing at all, but we stayed consistent, but we didn't know what we were doing. Once we got with our podcasting coach, which you know, who was phenomenal.
Shout out Michael.
Michael Neely, he's our man.
Yes. Once we got with Michael Neely, he kind of gave us the behind the scenes structure that we didn't know about. That's when we were able to start really, taking off with podcasting and understanding how to make this thing happen. And once we started podcasting, like you said, we did meet some phenomenal and interesting people along the way. And we actually got to interview William Hung. Do you know William Hung from American Idol? He did the Ricky Martin, she bang. Remember? He was one of our first guests on the podcast. We got to interview a lady by the name of Star Babatoon, who was actually a childhood star from like when she was a young kid. She was actually like in some big movies back in the days.
Very cool.
So, we do get to interview a lot of interesting people. So podcasting is very fun, and it's changed our lives a lot. A whole lot.
Yeah, you said something real important, hiring Michael, because I did the same thing, right? He's all about the 4 pillars of authority, just briefly, because he's amazing at what he does. But right, I'm a published author, #1 international bestseller. I had the podcast, I had my own business, and I had classes, curriculum, right? Courses that I've created over the 20 years. None of them were working in sync with each other. So, Queen Kimmie, you're talking about marketing. I'm sales. Marketing and sales are they need each other. They're married to each other, but they're 2 very different skill sets and ability. Yeah. I understand marketing. I don't want to do the marketing. So like Queen Kimmie, I was giggling, like, you're like, I love it. I get to do this for a living. Like, holy crap. That's how I feel about sales and the podcast, that I get to promote and spotlight and bring other people the opportunity to meet folks like you, right? Go ahead. You were going to say something, Queen Kimmie.
I was just going to add on to with podcasting for us. What it really did for us was it was able to bridge the gap, not only in our relationship and in our marriage and in our life, but it was also able to bridge that gap, that culture gap for our people who come from places like where we come from. Like, we grew up in the projects and trailer parks, like really. And then we were able to, grow up in that, what they call marginalized communities now. And then now to be able to be at a place of success and peace and abundance, and to be able to meet other people who have been on that same journey, and to be able to like meet them and to provide proof. Because like Shawn said, we did podcasting for years, and we were like, hey guys, you can do this too. You can do this too. And it was like, sometimes people need proof beyond just you and me.
Yeah.
So when you go and get experts who are actually living it, who you've actually, you can touch them, you follow their journey. Like, you can follow Shawn7. You can follow our journey online, Connie, from the first time we did a podcast and didn't know what we were doing. It was dark, the lighting was off. Like, you can go and find it. Our heads are like down low in the thing, and we're off spacing and we're over talking each other. Like, it's just, go watch it. We're not going to take it down, because we want you to we want people to find that.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, look where they started and look where they are now, because we don't want you to think that it's overnight. We want you to know that this is work and this is fun, and it's about that journey.
And yeah, and well said. It is work, but it's fun. And I'm glad you put that little caveat of the word fun in there. Yeah. It is a journey. And I know often the kids, the younger kids coming up, graduating and now entering the workforce. It's about, how do I advance my career? And it's like, relax, learn. What you have the education. Now, what else do you need to kind of fill out the creases, if you will, so that you could figure out what the next step is. And the other thing is they look and they think that, oh, well, if I have this job, this is what it's going to be for the rest of my life. And you guys know, right? You started in the military. You're not in the military anymore. When I think about where I started my career 40 years ago, I'm not doing anything that I was doing 40 years ago. It may be still in the financial service industry where my clients are, but beyond that, I'm not a financial advisor anymore. So you see what I'm saying? It's this whole journey and evolution. And the other thing, I love that you're keeping the old mishaps, if you will, but it's growing pains, and it's okay to not be perfect out of the gate, right? It's okay to figure it out as you go along. That in of itself, I think, is a great education that you're sharing.
What's that one saying we say? I keep forgetting all the time. It's better to show up.
It's better to be present and not perfect.
Yes.
Done is better than perfect.
Done is better.
Yeah. Well, right. Perfection is an illusion for all of us. Okay. So next question. What is the legacy that you want the Boss Effect podcast? What do you want it to be? Who's it for? Like, who will really benefit from this? Aside that I was a guest.
The Boss Effect podcast is for first and second generation entrepreneurs, because we have to deal with a totally different set of issues and obstacles than others. As a first generation entrepreneur, we can have all the resources in our hand, but there is something that will paralyze us and cause us to procrastinate, not take action, not have that support. And myself, having the pleasure and privilege of meeting the great Les Brown, who I love.
I love Les Brown.
One thing that I took away from that training is Les told me when he met me, Les Brown, I was so bad. I was homeless and I was hungry. And Les said, Queen Kimmie, stop. And I was like, oh, don't you want to hear my rock bottom story? How dare you? But he said, Queen Kimmie, stop. And I was like, oh. And he was like, the only thing you need to focus on, and I want you to write this down because this is very important. Like I learned it from Les. This is very important. 1, find the mental resolve to reinvent your life and business. That's what I stand for. I found that mental resolve to reinvent my life and my business. 2, I found the intestinal fortitude to increase my current skill set so that I could be of service to others and I could help with, hey, I've been through this. Let me help you not only with what I've been through, but let me go out and find some experts who've also been through it. Let me find some best practices for you, because I don't want you to think that I know it all and that I'm perfect. No. And then the third most important thing, and what the Boss Effect really stands for, is that community of support. So you don't have to feel alone when you start a new journey. How many times when first and second generations do something, you hear, oh, well, who do you think you are? Oh, they done forgot where they came from. Oh, the number one thing that someone said this to me in Shawn7, and it hurt me so bad to my heart, Connie. And they said, oh, Kim and Shawn up there living like white folks. And I said, what does that even mean?
What does that even mean?
Yeah, like, what does that even mean? Like, let's talk about that, And so with the Boss Effect podcast, it shows the diversity and the cross-cultural things that you can learn. And it's just so many hidden things behind what it stands for, other than just the Boss Effect on, that's edutainment. We're giving you entertainment, but we're also educating you if you open your heart and receive it.
And we are our own boss. We have to own that, though. We have to step into our own greatness, and whatever that means, right? That's the premise of the show. How can you be enlightened to embrace that change and create the vision, the life that you choose and you desire? I have to share, and I have to introduce you to my colleague here in Jersey. His name is Dr. Dale Caldwell, and I'm part of his community now. and it's called the E zones. We're creating entrepreneurial zones. I think we have 18 up and running across the country. He is on a mission. He's a freaking brilliant, brilliant man, but he's on a mission to eliminate poverty in this country through entrepreneurship. Exactly what you're saying. And I need to introduce you because what we're creating is amazing. And if we can eliminate poverty by empowering people, everybody was born with some gift, whatever that is. Like for you, Shawn7, right? You do the hip hop, your music, you see music, you feel music. That's your divine gift. And you're shining that light brightly, and you're translating it into business with your partnership with Queen Kimmie, with the Boss Effect, right? So all of these things, you guys need to meet Dale, because I think that you'd be a great piece of the puzzle for these E-zones that we're creating to show people an example of the type of business, but also to get involved, not a lot of time, but to get involved so that we can share like I share my sales genius with everybody who are new business owners, to try to give back to the community, because it's important that we eliminate poverty in this country, whatever that means, right?
Yes. And you know, that essence of transformation that we go on. I love the quote that you opened up with, because transformation is sustained change. And the last album that my husband released was called Essence, and it was about the essence of transformation. And he challenged himself, It is an enlightened album. There's no cursing in it. It is all about mindset shifts, growth, and how to stay focused on your goals and dreams. And I love it. And I love him for being able to do it, because I definitely challenged him with it. I was like, can you do it? and so to hear and to see his journey, and then we built the album. It's literally Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. We literally released the album following that. So when you're listening to it, you're literally hearing and listening to a story.
You have to give me the link. Can we put that link?
Sure.
Yeah, because then people, if they're interested, they could download it. Let's put that link, Shawn7. I think that would be really inspiring as another great extension of what we're talking about today, to get that whole vibe of who you are and what you're trying to bring to the world. And the other thing I just want to comment on, that there's no vulgarity in your music as well. I think that's important, because I think our kids need to understand that communication is really important, and that if we could create that vocabulary and express through our heart, we don't need to always listen. I like cursing sometimes too. It feels good, right? Get real here. But I don't want to just depend on that for my emotional exchange, right? That we do want to build our own vocabularies so that we can express ourselves through our heart without feeling judgment of self and all of that. So I commend you for that, Shawn7. Nice. I love it.
Appreciate it. And that just goes with what Boss Effect stands for, bold, outspoken, soulful storytellers. So I'm a storyteller, and I tell my stories from my soul, and I'm bold, and I'm definitely outspoken when you listen to my music. So that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get.
I love it. And thank you for that, because my next question is about the bold, right? So you're going to share 3 to 5 tips on being bold enough to be outspoken about your soulful stories. And I think that, again, from a business perspective, as well as a podcast, right? I think we do have to be bold enough to be outspoken about our soulful stories and own it and thrive through it, right? So can you share those 3 to 5 tips on how do I do that, guys?
One of the tips that we use is called the Fed Up method.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you, Queen Kimmie, I don't know what it is about her brain, but she comes up with all these different types of acronyms. She was in the military, we both were in the military, so we use acronyms a lot, but she is a master of acronyms. So like I said, we use the Fed Up method, and I'm gonna let Queen Kimmie break it down what the Fed Up method is.
Thank you, Shawn7. Okay, so Fed Up. Let's talk about these 5 tips. Okay, 5 things that you can use in your life. The Fed Up system. This is an acronym, like Shawn7 said, F. Let's start with FED, okay? The F is fear. Okay? When you think about fear, you can change the way you think about fear by looking at fear as your friend. Think about it. Fear has always been with you. Every time you had to do something, you were kind of scared, you were kind of nervous, and you were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that was fear. So we changed the way we look at fear. We change it. We change the vocabulary around it. We say, you know what? It's not fear. It's your power waiting to be unleashed. And so we take you through a series of exercises to help you with that. But think about it. When you think about it, wait a minute, that's power waiting to be unleashed. And then you think about the E, which stands for excuses. Because now you have this fear. So because you have fear, you start to create excuses to justify your fear. We're not doing that today. We are not doing that, not with the fed up system, because guess what? With those excuses, we're going to actually call them out and we're going to face them. You hear that? We're going to call them out and we're going to face them.
Yeah.
And we're going to also know that when we're facing them, we may have to deal with that D. And what is that D, babe? Doubt. So we're talking about fear. We're talking about your fears, your excuses, and your doubts. And the only way that you can overcome those is when you decide to get up. Okay? And when you get up, you become unapologetic about your purpose, your passion, your pain, your priorities, your prices, your pitches, your promises, your performance, your presentation. I don't care what it is. If it starts with a P, you become unapologetic about it.
Yes.
And you get up. So when you take those fears, excuses, and those doubts, and you decide to get up and you put them up together because you're fed up, then you are ready to take the steps necessary to take action to become a bold, outspoken, soulful storyteller.
Love you guys. That is, and here's the thing, everybody knows what felt like. I am fed up with this. That means that you're ready to create the change. You know, put fear where it belongs, right? Create power from the fear. Fear is a really good catalyst because if you're fearful of something, it's probably, well, I mean, unless it's the saber-toothed tiger chasing you. But other than that, if it's fear of business or fear of a career move, if you're feeling a little fear or apprehensive, that means you're challenging your comfort zone. There's growth in there. So fear is your power. I love that, right? Excuses. We all have excuses and we need to stop, right? And then the D for doubt, and self-doubt is so darn big. So I just love that. You're brilliant, Queen Kimmie. That is really brilliant. And it's understandable and digestible, easy peasy. It's interesting because I think that, you know, as business owners, right? We're business owners. Fear can creep in every time you want to create something new. What if I'm not good enough? What if nobody buys it? What if? And then the flip side is, well, what if they do like you? What if they do buy from you, right? You got, and the other thing too is it's not a one and done. You know, we're talking about the journey before. So it didn't work this time. Your podcast, you left those old episodes up, said, yeah, they weren't great. But you know what? We needed to go through that learning momentum, despair, you know, doubt, all of those things to get where you guys are now today, rocking it and being successful. So it's just nice to see a success story, but I think it's important that you didn't take those down because it shows what we were, right? Because no one comes out this way. I know when I do my training, like people say to me, you know, Con, what do you do when you get an objection, whatever the objection is? And I really pause and I think about it so I can answer intelligently. And then I answer with whatever I think. And this is what happens inevitably. 15 people in the room, they'll go, wait, say that again. And this is my response. I don't know what I just said. I was in the moment. You asked me a question. I answered the question. And they go, we want to write it down. And I go, don't write it down. Get where I came from, right? And then they say, well, I could never do that. Well, you haven't been in sales for 40 years. You've been in sales 2 years. So if you could do what I'm doing, then I'm broken, right? Like there's something wrong here. So again, it's a journey and we have to have patience with ourselves, but the fed up process, I love it. Go ahead, Kimmie, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I love it. I love it.
You know, it's like, did we come out of the womb this good? No, it's called experience, trial and error, failures, man. How many failures to get where we are? It doesn't happen by accident. And Shawn7, you said it before. It really is about that hard work. It's about dedication. More than hard work, I think we have fun with what we do. It's the dedication to keep showing up with to be bold and outspoken and all of those cool things. I just love that.
Exactly. I think it's very easy to be unapologetic about your purpose, your passion, your mission, and what it is that you're bringing and birthing into the world. If you truly believe that you are doing something that you are divinely birthed to do, if you truly believe that you are doing something that you are divinely put here to do, and that you, every time it's time, like I had one client, Connie, she told me, she said, every time I'm in a room with speakers, I can just feel a tingling sensation on the back of my neck because I know that I'm supposed to be a speaker. And she said, and I just sit there and I just don't like speakers because they're doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, listen to yourself, listen to. And she was like, I want to be a speaker. And she could feel it so bad. But it took her to become, like we said, unapologetic and about her purpose and to get fed up with her own self before she actually took action. Now she's doing it.
And you know what the problem is? And I guarantee that somebody else was saying to her, you could never do that. What background do you have in that? And look at you, Queen Kimmie, right? What do you know about marketing? I don't know, but I'll go take a class. And then when you got in, you were like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Like I found my purpose because you followed your heart. But again, you didn't know anything about it. You stepped in, you went and got the education. And here's the other thing, really everybody listening, there's so much information available. Just start exploring. Like you said, I love that as an example. I want to be a speaker. I could feel it right in on the back of my neck when someone speaks, like, oh, I get excited, right? The energy is excitement, the electricity she feels within her body. And then in the second breath is like, but I can't do that. I could never do that. Again, I'm speaking at a conference and, 100 people, 200 people, I don't even know. And people are like, aren't you nervous? I go, well, I'm nervous because I want to show up and I want to deliver good content. I want people walking away learning something. So you're always nervous about that, right? Are they going to resonate with me? All those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But to get up to speak in front of people, there's no fear in that. But I do it all the time. The first time I got up and I spoke, I had to go in the bathroom and vomit before I got up to speak. Like there's a journey, there's a trajectory to build those skills. Everybody thinks like you and I were born doing this. It's not the case.
No, I still get butterflies before I perform.
Yes.
And I've been doing this for years, since I was a teenager, and my stomach just goes up into knots. But as soon as the music drops, all of it goes away.
Yes. You know what my take on that is, Shawn7, that because I get the butterflies before every class I teach, and this is my content. I mean, I do this every, 2-3 days a week. I get the butterflies because I want to make sure I honor everybody in the room. So I think being a little nervous is humbling. It means that I got this, like, it's going in as a humble being and saying, I want them to really I'm honoring them, but I want them to honor me and absorb the information I'm sharing. Right. So that's why you feel that way with your music. I love that about you.
Thank you. That
was my very first talk.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is, that was my very first talk, and it was not what I had written down to talk about. I had practiced my talk for weeks, and I had note cards on what I was going to say. And I got in front of the room, and instead of talking about it, I talked about just what you talked about just then. And I was like, wow, I can't believe it. And I'm looking at like everybody in the room's like, yes. And that's what we need. And I'm sitting there like, hey, I didn't talk about what I
Yeah, I know. I was sitting there like, this is not what she was telling me in the room.
Divine intervention, right? It's here's another thing. Yeah. And you as a musician, Shawn7 too, you have to be present with your audience, right? You can think that you're going to show up one way, but you feed off of the energy of the audience, just like we as speakers feed off the audience, or when I'm training, I feed off of the people in the room, right? Where they're coming from. So we have this energetic exchange that you think you're going to do one thing and you end up doing something totally different. It's not a bad thing, right? If that's what's needed at that moment, but it's being present and being able to feel and understand, this is what I need to do right now, right? It's, again, another skill that we can hone. We're out of time, but because you guys as podcasters know it goes really fast, but really, it always does, right? When I did your show, I was like, wait, what? We're out of time? This is not fair.
Yeah,
I know. It's crazy, right?
Okay.
Yep. We're over 30 minutes in, but here's my just last question, because you guys are truly a dynamic duo. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start? And in this case, let's talk about a digital business, since that's what you know. What advice would you give?
First off, do it. Stop sitting on it. And that's what a lot of us do. We procrastinate. We say we're going to start. I'm going to do it tomorrow. No, tomorrow starts now. Do it. And then once you start doing it, start being consistent.
Yes.
I know if some people start out, you're going to start out like I started out and not have that confidence. But the more you keep doing it, the more that confidence keeps building and keeps building and keeps building.
Action. It's all about action, right, guys?
I love that. I love that. Take action, start. And if you need help getting started, of course, you can always visit the bosseffectpodcast.com, because that's what we do. We literally find experts who actually help you get started, and we offer how you can get started on our website as well. So
I love it. So
not just talking about it, we're not just giving you the resources and the connections. We're also providing you the community and how you can get started too. So don't just, even the 15-day business challenge that we offer on our page, it's like, try it for 15 days. See if you have what it takes. If it's something for you, learn the basics, just be open to something new.
that's right.
And see where it goes from there.
Learn. And here's the thing, you learn, you think, not for me. Okay. It's not for me, because this is the other thing too. And I tell my kids this, if you're curious about something, investigate it. If you end up not doing it, that's okay. You don't ever want to look back and said, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? I should have done that. I could have done that. You don't want those stones unturned. And the thing is, sometimes you try something and you love it. Well, that could be the new trajectory of whatever that next growth pattern is. Or it could be something like, wow, that wasn't for me, and I thought I was going to love it. That's great. Then now you could push that aside and you don't have to keep thinking about, should I do that? Should I do that? You've experimented. So tune in. Go ahead. You want to add something?
You know what, Connie? That's exactly what happened with Shawn7. I have to tell on him. When we started this journey, so I went to school to learn the digital marketing. So he saw me online, he's like, oh my gosh, she's killing it online. I want to learn that. So I'm digital marketing, I'm digital business, all this. So my husband went back to school and he graduates next year with his degree. Next month with his degree in digital cinematography. So my husband has a degree in digital cinematography, and here's his wife with digital marketing and business. So we are ready to take the world by storm. How can we serve
the power couple? You've met them here first. Just remember that. You met them on Enlightenment of Change. Okay. Just remember me when you make it big. I'm really proud of you, Shawn7. That's amazing. See, again, effort, consistency, it's all worth it. And now, and here's the other thing I tell, some of my, the students in the classes, for my employees, and they're like, I'm thinking about going for my master's. I don't know. I have a family, I'm working. And this is what I say to them. Project out 5 years. You could do it. You don't have to do it in 1 year, right? Project out 5 years. 5 years from now is going to come, whether you do this or not. 5 years from now, again, think forward. Is it going to be worth it for you to have that degree or not have that degree? Because the time is going to march on. The 5 years are going to come. Your degree is happening because you put that time in, Shawn7, right? So the time is still going to come next month, except now you have a degree to go with that effort. So I commend you for that. That's wonderful. And Queen Kimmie, I love how you're so proud of him. That was really cute.
Thank you.
I love it. So all of you, I get Queen Kimmie and Shawn7 in my life. We've run into each other a lot, but I think you need them in your life too. So email them at info@bosseffect.club, not .com, .club. I will put that in the show notes. Also go to their website, which is bosseffectpodcast.com in the show notes. And the last thing, I'm going to put the link for a free video. Can you tell them what the video is about?
The free video is about for anyone who wants to start an online business, but they don't know where to start. We share a few tips and tools that can help you get started so that you don't make some of the mistakes that we made. Like, we tried a lot of things and we failed at a lot of things before we found what was successful for us. So we thought, what better way than to introduce others to what we found that works for us.
I love it. So that, again, I'll put that link in the show notes. So if you want to watch that video, and these, look, Queen Kimmie and Shawn7, they're a hoot. So the video, trust me, will be a hoot. Additionally, it'll be filled with good information, clearly, but also some good energy and some loving energy, which I think we all could use. So thank you for sharing that with my listeners. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for coming on. I just love spending time with you guys, and I love what you're creating out there. And again, I'm going to do that intro to Dale because I think you need to become part of that community as well, so that we can eliminate poverty in the world. What a wonderful objective that might be, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for being on. I really do love spending time with you. So thanks so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having us, Connie.
Always a pleasure. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together. No matter where you are on your journey of change, my guests and I, we have your back. So here's the deal. Information is beautiful. Queen Kimmie told you to write those things down. I hope you did. If you didn't, go back and listen to the show again. But information is a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, it's simply information. You take that information and you put it into action. Holy smokes, that's when we see some magic on the back end. So please take a tip or two idea that we discussed today, implement it in your life, and let us know how it's working out for you. Thanks for tuning in to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful and inspired week. And I hope you tune in next week to hear more from my guests, and hopefully that will elevate or help you express the lane for change that's going on in your life. I'm honored that you're here, and I'm honored that you're on this journey with me. I love you all, and we'll see you next week. Have a great one.